Everyone knows that having psychic powers makes life easy for anyone lucky enough to have them. Most people would consider supernatural powers a blessing. However, this isn't true for our beloved main character, Kusuo Saiki. He is a teenager with pink hair who has supernatural powers. 16 years ago, he was born to an ordinary family. His father, Kuniharu Saiki, and mother, Kurumi Saiki, are both wonderful people. Kusuo began speaking when he was just 14 days old. By 1 month old, he could already walk. He can even walk through the air. When he turned 1 year old, he did his first errand. When his mother ran out of a cooking ingredient, Kusuo teleported to the store to get the needed ingredients and more. Despite all his powers, his parents stayed calm. They didn't take him to a hospital or research facility like normal parents would have done. Years later, Kusuo is now in high school. He has many powers including telepathy, psychokinesis, X-ray vision, and teleportation. While regular people would be happy to have such powers, Kusuo feels differently. He is unhappy with his powers. He feels that these powers have taken away life's basic experiences from him. He no longer feels the satisfaction of working for life's necessities. Nevertheless, Kusuo has chosen to live a peaceful life. In the following scene, Kusuo comes home from school to find his father standing at the door, unable to enter because his wife has changed the locks again. Kusuo uses his powers to unlock the door, allowing both of them to go inside. Once they enter, his parents begin shouting at each other. Their once peaceful and romantic relationship has transformed into something different. Now they constantly argue and shout at each other. During dinner, Kurumi serves her husband a dish made of an old shoe covered in sauce, just to make him even more upset. Looking more closely, Kusuo's mother is actually a very calm and kind person. This is why Kusuo hasn't turned evil. His mother has taught him to be calm and nice. Kusuo typically ignores his parents while they fight. He believes they should solve their problems by themselves without his involvement. While Kusuo sits down to enjoy his cup of jelly coffee, his parents interrupt his mealtime with their pointless fighting. Kusuo becomes frustrated and decides to step in. As it turns out, his parents still deeply love each other, but are just pretending otherwise. Kusuo knows this because he can read their minds. He uses his telepathy power to let them hear each other's thoughts. The couple realizes they are still very much in love, but have just been acting differently. They manage to resolve their conflicts. However, Kusuo still loses his coffee jelly in the end, because his mother takes it and gives it to her husband as a gesture of love. Next, we learn that Kusuo attends a private school called PK Academy. The school has 542 students. None of them know about his powers. Since kindergarten, he has decided that no one would ever discover his abilities again. Back then, his kindergarten teacher suspected he had powers, and eventually left the school. Kusuo never lost any game he played during that time. He uses telepathy to know what his opponents are thinking. Kusuo uses his telepathy power to check if anyone is nearby before using his abilities. His telepathy works within a range of 200 meters. However, there is one classmate whose mind Kusuo has trouble reading. He can't tell what this person is thinking. The student's name is Riki Nendo. Kusuo has figured out why he can't read Riki's mind. The reason is simple. Riki is just an idiot. He has no thoughts at all. During a student gathering, a student named Takashi collapses. Riki and Kusuo rush him to the nurse's office. Takashi suddenly wakes up when Riki performs CPR on him. He confesses to the two that he was only pretending and wasn't actually sick. He is disgusted that Riki gave him CPR. At that moment, the PE teacher enters the room to check on Takashi. The student quickly blames Riki. Kusuo would have ignored this, but Takashi decides to blame Kusuo too. Kusuo becomes angry and decides to expose Takashi. Using pyrokinesis, Kusuo raises Takashi's body temperature, causing him to be taken to the hospital. While Kusuo tries to get rid of the thermometer, Riki finds him. Riki thinks Kusuo has the same illness as Takashi and forces him to go to the hospital as well. In the next scene, we meet another student, Shun Kaido, a second-year student at the academy. He always claims to have superpowers. He believes he is destined to save the world. One day, Shun tells the students that a venomous snake has escaped. He claims this is part of the Jet Black Wings plot to destroy the world. He constantly talks about the Dark Reunion Society being his enemy and their determination to destroy the world. However, he vows not to fall for their evil schemes. Shun keeps trying to befriend Kusuo because he thinks Kusuo is the only one who understands him. He has no idea that Kusuo actually has real superpowers. Soon after, the snake is discovered lost in the school. Kusuo had known this would happen through his precognition powers. He hides in the restroom because he doesn't want to use his powers. Shun finds out about the snake and runs to confront it. He wants to act like the hero he's always claimed to be. However, when he comes face to face with the snake, he immediately regrets his decision. Kusuo realizes that without intervention, Shun will die. He uses his electricity powers to deal with the snake, but everyone watching believes Shun is responsible. People begin viewing Shun as a real hero. As a result, Shun starts acting even more special than before. Later, while Kusuo is walking through the streets, he encounters the school's popular girl. Her name is Kokomi, and every boy who sees her falls for her. Kokomi notices Kusuo and tries to say hello. She expects Kusuo to act excited around her but is shocked when he ignores her. Thinking he might not have seen her, she tries again. However, the same thing keeps happening. She finally concludes that Kusuo isn't really there, and she's just imagining things. Kusuo uses this moment to teleport away before Kokomi discovers the truth. This is how Kusuo manages to avoid Kokomi's attention. Next, it's time for physical education class. This is Kusuo's least favorite class. He always tries to avoid any class or exercise that involves using physical abilities. While Kusuo's class gathers for the lesson, he shows no excitement. This is completely different from his class representative, Kineshi Hiro, who always gets excited about physical education class. Kineshi also commands great respect from his fellow students. The students are split into two teams, named Team Rock and Team Paper. Team Paper has 8 students, including both Kusuo and the class rep. Riki is on the opposite team, Team Rock, along with Takashi, Shun, and 5 other students. They are going to play dodgeball. The rules state that each team throws the ball, and any team member who gets hit or fails to catch the ball is eliminated. The game begins with Paper knocking out a member of Team Rock. Team Rock immediately targets Kusuo for elimination. Since Kusuo didn't want to play anyway, he doesn't mind being eliminated. When the ball is thrown at him, he just stands still. He lets the ball hit him, and is about to leave the field when he's called back. They inform him of the no-face rule. Since the ball hit his face, he gets another chance to play. This is unwelcome news for Kusuo, who thought he had escaped. Now Kusuo has to throw the next ball. He needs to throw it gently enough not to hurt anyone. Kusuo picks up the ball and throws it without any force, making it easy for the opposite team to catch it. Kusuo's team starts complaining that he's playing poorly because his friend is on the opposing team. Soon after, everyone on Kusuo's team is eliminated except for Kusuo and Hiro. When the next ball is thrown at Kusuo, Hiro jumps in the way and gets injured. After Hiro is taken off, Team Paper's chances now depend entirely on Kusuo. This is exactly what he's been trying to avoid, but now he has no choice. Kusuo realizes that everyone is watching him. He faces a difficult situation. If he wins the match, he'll become very popular among the students, which he doesn't want. But if he plays too badly, he'll be treated worse than a bug and become a target for bullies. Using his powers to read the observer's feelings, Kusuo realizes he just needs to maintain average performance to stay safe. Kusuo picks up the ball and throws it gently at his opponent. The opponent fails to catch it and is eliminated. Kusuo's popularity rises above average, and he decides to lose the game. Shun throws the ball at Kusuo but misses, and Kusuo ends up catching it. This makes Kusuo's popularity rise above 60% again. At this point, Hiro returns to support Kusuo, claiming his injury has improved. Together, Hiro and Kusuo win the match for their team. By the end of the match, Kusuo's popularity reaches 82%. Kusuo says he will find a way to lure it. Next, Kusuo explains why he avoids Kokomi, despite her being the most popular girl. Through reading her thoughts, he knows she's really a brat. However, there is a girl named Chio who catches Kusuo's attention. By reading her mind, he knows she has a crush on him. Kusuo looks for ways to make Chio stop thinking about him. Chio tries various things to get Kusuo to notice her, but Kusuo is always one step ahead. This helps him avoid falling for her plans. All of Chio's attempts to get Kusuo's attention fail completely. Kusuo is confident that Chio will eventually find someone else. Before he can finish this thought, a guy appears and approaches Chio. In the next scene, Kusuo's parents want to move furniture. Although they could do it themselves, they want their son to help using his powers. Kusuo deliberately handles all their requests carelessly. He does this to stop them from asking him to do simple things they can manage themselves. They ask him to tear down the walls between their rooms, but Kusuo messes it up. After much pressure, his parents accept the situation. Next, Kusuo arrives at school to find there's an emergency inspection. He isn't worried about inspections because he always dresses neatly and follows school rules. Even if he has problems, he can adjust people's thoughts for a few minutes. However, people are always surprised by the 2 short antennas on Kusuo's head. Kusuo has convinced them to believe the antennas are hairpins. This allows him to walk around without being questioned. When Kusuo was born, his pink hair was very unusual for his part of the world. Kusuo used his powers to change human ecology so that people would start having different hair colors. This way, he wouldn't be questioned or seen as different. He has also found a way to make humans evolve rapidly so they can do exceptional things. All of this is to help him blend in better with other humans. Kusuo has already had a significant impact on the world and its people. In the next scene, Kusuo encounters a street magician named Uryoku Chuno. People gather to watch his magic tricks. Kusuo can't be fooled by the tricks because he can see through all the magician's secrets. He sees the dove in the hat and the doves in the divided section of the magic box. The magician's next trick is to show he can magically move his assistant from one box to another. During trick, his assistant makes a mistake with the timing and comes out from the wrong place. The crowd leaves immediately after discovering the trick is fake. However, Kusuo stays behind. After everyone leaves, Kusuo approaches the frustrated magician. The magician reveals that he used to be an office worker, but lost his job because of a small mistake. After losing his job, his wife left him. He was evicted from his house because he couldn't pay rent. His life deteriorated very quickly. Since everything disappeared from his life so fast, He decided becoming an illusionist would be best for him. He had another job offer, but he turned it down and chose instead to become a street magician. He thought making a lot of money would bring his wife back, but now he sees he was wrong. Kusuo shows him a magic trick. He takes his assistant out of a bag, which amazes the magician. The magician drops to his knees and begs Kusuo to teach him. Later, while Kusuo watches TV, he sees Uryoku is about to perform on a live show. Uryoku plans to do many risky and hard tricks. Uryoku is tied up and put in a box. He needs to get out of the cage in 5 minutes. If he doesn't escape in 5 minutes, the cage will be crushed. Kusuo isn't sure if Uryoku can do such a hard trick. As time passes, Kusuo grows worried about Uryoku getting out of the box. With 2 minutes left, Uryoku seems to be having trouble inside. Kusuo thinks about using his powers to teleport there and help, but he's afraid the cameras might see him. What Kusuo and everyone else don't know is that Uryoku isn't really in the box. He put a device inside to make it look like he's there. Kusuo teleports into the box to try to help Uryoku. People stick many swords through the box, and a crane lifts it up. The box goes up 30 meters high. It falls and hits the ground very hard. Kusuo stays safe inside the box. The box gets set on fire, but Kusuo turns the inside to ice to stay safe. Then, a big roller drives over the box. After all this happens, the lights move to the stage to show everyone that Uryoku is fine, because he escaped the box. Meanwhile, Kusuo also gets out of the box without any cameras seeing him. Uryoku's show was a big hit, and everyone in the crowd clapped. Next, Shun goes into a hidden room at school. He and his friend act like they're part of a special group called Black Jet Wings, which fights against the Dark Reunion. They talk to each other in a silly, made-up language that's special to them. Shun tells how he used to be in the Dark Reunion, but left when he learned they wanted to destroy the world. More members should be at their meeting, but only these two show up. Soon after, they end their meeting, and Shun says he'll come with Kusuo tomorrow. That night, Dark Reunion members break into their rival's room and put their symbol on the wall. The next morning, Kusuo and Shun find the symbol. Shun is very upset, but Kusuo is happy because now he won't have to join their silly group. Kusuo was actually there the night before, and chose not to stop the Dark Reunion when they were putting up their symbol. In the next part, Riki visits Kusuo's house to ask him to go to the beach. He tells Kusuo's mother that he's Kusuo's friend. This makes Kusuo's mother very happy because she's never seen Kusuo with friends before. Kusuo tries to tell his mother that Riki isn't really his friend, but she doesn't listen. Kusuo doesn't want to go to the beach, but his mother makes him go. When Kusuo gets there, he finds out Hiro and Shun are there too. To avoid talking to anyone, Kusuo swims deep underwater and lies on the bottom. While he's down there, he sees Riki trying to save a woman who's drowning. Hiro and Shun jump in to help, but all 4 of them start drowning. Riki holds on to the other 3 as they sink. Kusuo slightly moves his hand underwater to push Riki's legs, which pushes all 4 of them back to the surface. Everyone calls Riki a hero after this. Back at school, Shun tells Kusuo that Riki is behaving strangely. When Riki leaves school, Shun and Kusuo decide to follow him. Riki stops at a flower shop to buy flowers. The two think Riki is going to meet a woman. He then goes to a restaurant to get takeout food. They decide to confront him because Shun thinks Riki likes young girls, but they find out they were wrong. Riki is actually visiting his father's grave. His father died before Riki was born. He died trying to save a girl who ran into the street and was hit by a truck. Riki shows them a picture, and his friends see that he looks just like his father. While at the graveyard, Kusuo can see Riki's father's ghost. He doesn't want to believe he really saw Riki's father. Since Kusuo doesn't believe in ghosts, he thinks what he saw was just light reflecting off something. When Kusuo gets home that night, he receives a letter from someone unknown. The letter writer says they know Kusuo is a psychic. They also write that they don't want to be Kusuo's enemy. They just want Kusuo to be their teacher. They claim they have special powers too. Kusuo wants to find out who wrote the letter. He uses his power called psychometry, which lets him see someone's memories that are stored in objects, to examine the letter. Kusuo always wears a very thin glove to stop this power from working whenever he touches things. Soon after, the letter writer comes to Kusuo's house. He says his name is Raida Toritsuka. He tells Kusuo he has the special ability to see spirits. He's a spirit medium. He wants Kusuo to teach him. He's 16 years old and has had these powers since he was born. He can also talk to ghosts. At first, he had trouble telling ghosts and living people apart. Kusuo thinks of a good way to use this power. He says Raida could help many people find peace by talking to their dead loved ones. Raida says he learned about Kusuo from one of his ghost friends. He came looking for Kusuo to learn how to use psychic powers. Kusuo reads his mind and knows Raida just wants to use the powers for wrong reasons. As Raida is leaving, Kusuo forgets to wear his glove and touches Raida. For a few seconds, Kusuo gets Raida's power to see ghosts. The next day at school, Kusuo finds out Raida has become a new student there. Kusuo confronts Raida and asks why he came to his school. Raida becomes popular with the girls right away because he tells them what their guardian spirits look like. Raida keeps bothering Kusuo to give him psychic powers so he can see what the girls are wearing underneath their clothes. Many girls come to ask Raida to tell them about their guardian spirits. While preoccupied with some girls, Shun arrives with a plan to expose Raida as a fraud. He He challenges Raida to describe his guardian spirit, expecting a terrifying or sealed monster. Instead, Raida surprises everyone by claiming his guardian spirit is a chihuahua. Shun becomes frustrated and continues to call Raida a fraud. Riki then approaches and asks about his own guardian spirit. Raida shockingly declares that Riki's guardian spirit is a politician. Later, Raida punches Riki, leaving him confused about the sudden attack. Raida explains to Kusuo that he mistook Riki for a ghost. He then asks Kusuo to touch him without gloves to understand better. When Kusuo touches Riki, Raida sees Riki's father and reveals to Kusuo that Riki's father is actually his guardian spirit. In the next scene, Kusuo explains why Hiro commands respect from his classmates. Hiro is incredibly hardworking and kind, always willing to help others regardless of inconvenience. After school, Hiro informs Kusuo about the upcoming sports day and his preparations. He mentions that he has been working on the entry gate with Shun's help, but Shun has fallen ill. Only the connecting arches remain incomplete. When they arrive at the gate, they discover it has been damaged. Hiro insists they must repair the gate before leaving. He begins working but needs to retrieve some additional materials. After Hiro leaves, Kusuo quickly uses his power to fix everything. Hiro is running late, so Kusuo tracks his movements and sees him struggling to carry a heavy log. Some students spot Hiro and decide to help him. They all return to school together, quickly cutting the log and repairing the gate. Notably, the sports day is still a month away. Kusuo finds himself home alone after his parents leave for a colleague's wedding. While cleaning, he spots a cockroach and immediately teleports to Texas, planning to stay there. Kusuo is terrified of bugs because he cannot predict their unpredictable movements. Typically, his mother has always handled insect-related issues in their home. While in Texas, Kusuo remembers an expected package and decides to return home briefly, quickly grab the package, and escape the cockroach. Upon arriving home and opening the door, Kusuo is surprised to find Riki standing there instead of the delivery man. He sees this as an opportunity and asks Riki to remove the cockroach. Riki readily agrees, being completely unafraid of insects and confident in his ability to handle even 100 bugs. Shortly after, Riki successfully locates and eliminates the cockroach. Later that evening, Kusuo's parents return home and are pleasantly surprised to find the house clean. In the subsequent scene, Kusuo discovers that Chio has become interested in him again, having driven away all her previous suitors. This presents another challenge for Kusuo. Chio had been considering a relationship with a second-year student named Takeru, but she is put off by his foot odor. Kusuo learns these details by reading Chio's mind and decides to intervene and help repair the relationship between Chio and Takeru. After school, Takeru and Chio go on a date to the arcade. Kusuo understands all of Chio's concerns about Takeru and realizes she would be delighted if Takeru remembered their 3-month anniversary. Using his power, Kusuo prompts Takeru to mention the anniversary, which makes Chio incredibly happy. However, Chio ultimately breaks up with Takeru before the day ends. When they go out together and Takeru removes his shoes, it triggers Chio's ultimate fear, causing her to flee. The next day at school, Kusuo plans to leave early to catch a show he doesn't want to miss. Leaving proves challenging because nearly everyone is searching for him. Hiro wants to thank him for something from before. Shun wants to show him a new hideout. Kokomi needs to give him some papers, and others have various requests. They are scattered throughout the school, making Kusuo's escape difficult. He retreats to the restroom to strategize, using his power to discover that Hiro is even waiting for him at the school gate. With people everywhere, Kusuo feels completely trapped. Kusuo decides to become invisible. However, he will become visible if he makes physical contact with anyone, so he must be extremely careful. His plan nearly succeeds until Raida sees through his invisibility. Raida touches Kusuo, making him visible, and immediately all the people who were looking for him swarm around him. They begin simultaneously sharing what they want from him, effectively derailing Kusuo's plans to leave early. It's sports day at PK Academy, and although Kusuo planned to skip the event, his parents ensured he attended, even bringing a camcorder to capture the moments. The leaders of the different second-year classes are introduced. Haruo Sugiyama leads Class 1, Yuji Ushima leads Class 2, Kenji Tanihara leads Class 4, and Ippei Matsuda leads Class 5. Kusuo is in Class 3, and his friends are familiar with his leadership. The games commence with the 100-meter dash. Kusuo participates but intentionally finishes third. To his surprise, his team is still impressed with his performance. In the 3-legged race, Sawa Kita represents the class, carrying Kokomi in his arms, and they win the event. During the ongoing races, Riki accidentally pulls one of Kusuo's head antennas, causing Kusuo to immediately pass out. His friends panic, unsure of what's happening. Simultaneously, at the Wasa space station, the entire main system unexpectedly crashes, a first-time occurrence. A research lab also experiences a system breakdown at the same moment. Shortly after, Kusuo regains consciousness when Riki pushes the antenna back into place. Concerned about the potential danger Riki poses, Kusuo contemplates eliminating him, believing he might be a significant threat. Kusuo explains the purpose of the antennas on his head. The left antenna serves as a regulation device to control his powers. He reveals that he is actually far more powerful than anyone realizes, which is why he uses the device to subdue his extraordinary abilities. Kusuo feels relieved that the antenna was only removed for a few seconds, as he fears the potential consequences of his unchecked powers. He resolves to be more cautious, and considers avoiding future sports events to prevent similar incidents. His classmates soon check on him and inform him that the tug-of-war event is next. During the match, Kusuo easily drags the opposing team, securing a win for his class. Thinking about leaving, he notices that Class 3 is still behind 2 classes in the total score. They have 2 remaining events to turn things around. The next event is the interclass beanbag toss. Kusuo uses his psychic powers subtly to help his class, carefully guiding the beans into the basket without making it too obvious. The class feels confident about their performance. However, they are shocked when the results show that Class 4 scored more points. Class 4's strategy involved dropping an entire sack of beans into the basket, which, while unconventional, was not against the rules and thus not considered cheating. The class calculates their chances and realizes they can still win the sports day competition if Class 4 finishes last in the final event, the interclass relay. Kusuo is scheduled to be the last runner to collect the baton. Initially, he shows no serious intent to compete until a student mockingly runs past him. This provokes Kusuo, who then collects the baton and swiftly passes all the runners ahead of him. Although he wins the race for his class, Kusuo collapses face down at the finish line, his body still not fully responsive. Hiro later briefs his classmates about an upcoming evacuation drill. He meticulously explains the safety precautions to follow in case of a fire hazard at school or elsewhere. Mid-discussion, the broadcast system announces a fire in the first-floor science room and advises everyone to evacuate. As students evacuate, they quickly realize this is a drill and find themselves at a dead end. Forced to think creatively, they end up breaking the newly installed shutter to escape the building. The PE teacher is stunned by their destruction of the recent installation. The student's attitude is essentially, "You asked for it, so don't complain." Kusuo confidently believes that no fire hazard could ever destroy the school as long as he is around. Days later, Kusuo is in a store, deliberating over which coffee jelly to purchase. He typically buys a specific product but is tempted by a new option. This new product costs 2,900 yen, compared to his usual choice that costs just over 20 yen. With an allowance of 3,000 yen, Kusuo carefully weighs his options. He wants to prioritize quality this time but worries about whether the expensive jelly will be worth its high price. Eventually, he decides to buy the costly jelly. Leaving the store, Kusuo hopes the jelly meets his expectations, half-jokingly thinking he'll burn down the factory if it disappoints. He becomes cautious about protecting the delicate purchase during transit. He considers teleporting the jelly home but realizes he needs to replace it with an item of similar weight and value. When he uses his teleportation power, he accidentally sends a random ball flying to an unknown location. Nearby, Kusuo notices Riki playing baseball with a child. The ball belongs to the boy, and Kusuo initially pays no attention. However, he learns that the ball was a memento from the boy's late grandfather. Feeling compelled, Kusuo goes to a restroom and uses his power to create an exact replica of the ball, down to the smallest detail, including the original autograph. He returns the recreated ball to the boy. As a gesture of appreciation for recovering his treasured ball, the boy later gifts Kusuo a coffee jelly. At school, Kusuo learns from Riki about a popular fortune-telling house in town that everyone is talking about. After school, he passes by the building and finds a long line of people waiting to enter. Surprisingly, Shun is among those waiting, which is unexpected given his previous claims of not believing in profits. Shun tries to convince himself he's there to investigate the establishment. When it's Shun's turn, he meets the fortune teller, Mikiko Clairvoyance. Kusuo is also in the room, using his powers to remain undetected. The fortune teller easily reads Shun's body language and immediately discerns his thoughts. She accurately identifies Shun's desire to make friends, which Shun confirms. She then presents him with a necklace, claiming it will help him make over 100 friends, and prices it at 30,000 yen. Shun purchases the necklace, believing it will help him become friends with Kusuo. Kusuo witnesses the entire interaction, and would have remained silent if the fortune teller hadn't deliberately deceived Shun by suggesting the necklace would guarantee his friendship with Kusuo. Kusuo enters the room as the next customer. Moments later, the fortune teller rushes outside to return Shun's money and quickly flee before any further questioning. It appears Kusuo has intimidated him. Kusuo wants Shun to make friends naturally, without relying on magical objects. As Kusuo is about to leave, he encounters Riki. Shun discovers that Kusuo had been present during the entire fortune-telling incident. The trio decides to visit a ramen shop. On their way, they meet Kokomi, who asks to join them. Shun and Riki immediately welcome her, while Kusuo feels uncomfortable, viewing Kokomi as a significant threat. Kokomi, meanwhile, is puzzled about why she hasn't been able to get Riki's attention. Unlike other boys who typically pursue her, Kusuo remains her primary focus, and she is determined to make him acknowledge her that day. They arrive at the ramen shop Riki recommended, which looks extremely unappetizing. Kokomi begins contemplating an excuse to leave, planning to claim something urgent has come up. When Shun criticizes the shop's appearance, Kokomi realizes she can't exit it without compromising her image of being a composed, elegant girl. She tells Shun not to worry and declares herself ready to eat. The ramen looks even worse than she anticipated. Despite her revulsion, Kokomi feels compelled to eat, wanting to prove herself as the perfect woman. Her determination surprises even Kusuo, who is shocked by her commitment to maintaining her facade. In the next scene, Raida shares his experiences with his supernatural power. He uses ghosts as his informants, observing and listening through them. Raida notes that ghosts are actually much nicer than people typically believe. In one instance, he asked a ghost to help him peek at a girl's underwear, but the ghost refused, citing an invasion of privacy. Some girls approach Raida seeking help because their gym clothes have been stolen. Eager to gain their favor, Raida begins investigating. He discovers that a ghost is responsible for the theft due to his mischievous nature. The ghost begs Raida not to return the clothes and offers to leak upcoming exam questions as compensation. Despite the tempting offer, Raida declines, knowing that Kusuo is aware of everything happening in the school. While attempting to retrieve the clothes, the girls catch Raida in the act. They immediately assume he is the thief, beat him up, and retrieve their gym clothes before leaving. The ghost tries to console Raida, suggesting that helping him previously check out the girl's underclothing serves as compensation for his misfortune. Kusuo wakes up and uses his precognition to foresee an impending explosion later that day. He gets out of bed to prevent the disaster, carefully analyzing the potential causes. He discovers that the explosion will result from a chain of events: a little girl slipping on a rock, which will hit a tanker driver; a scooter driver, seeing the girl in an awkward position, will consequently crash into the tanker. The small rock is the root cause of this potential catastrophe. Kusuo removes the rock to avert the disaster, accidentally hitting Riki in the head with it. Believing it to be a meteorite, Riki takes the rock to school. At school, a boy steps on the rock, slips, and causes gallons of gas to spill, which would have triggered an explosion. However, Kusuo arrives just in time to prevent the disaster once again. Later, when people typically ask Kusuo about his preference between dogs and cats, he explains that he dislikes both because his ability allows him to see only their bones. Through his telepathy, he can communicate with animals and has learned that cats are exceptionally proud, believing the world revolves around them. While walking through the neighborhood, Kusuo encounters a cat stuck between two walls. The cat proudly communicates with him, demanding to be rescued from its predicament. Kusuo challenges the cat to ask humbly if it wants his help. The cat is convinced Kusuo is bluffing, certain that any normal human would immediately assist without condition. Kusuo is about to leave when the cat calls him back and requests help. Kusuo insists the cat must beg before receiving assistance. The cat remains stubborn, refusing to beg initially. Eventually, realizing Kusuo is serious, the cat concedes and begs for help. Kusuo rescues the cat from the wall without physically touching it. After the rescue, the cat expects to be petted, but Kusuo simply picks up his bag and walks away. Later that night, the cat sneaks into Kusuo's house, plotting to win over Kusuo's parents as an act of revenge against Kusuo. However, Kusuo's mother is allergic to cats and quickly chases the cat away. During the Christmas period, Kusuo dislikes the holiday, viewing it as a time of fake emotions where people pretend to be happy while secretly struggling. His family hosts a feast, with Riki in attendance. Kusuo remains completely detached from the celebrations. He doesn't participate in any activities or eat, instead sitting in a corner observing his family. His father even dresses up as Santa and distributes gifts, but Kusuo remains unimpressed and unmoved throughout the entire day. During the new year, Kusuo and his family visit the shrine for traditional prayers. The shrine is packed with people observing the New Year's ritual. Kusuo's father prays intensely for significant financial funds and blessings for his relationship and family. Kusuo, characteristically, simply prays for a quiet new year. Shun arrives at the shrine shortly after, maintaining his consistent prayer to make friends. He meets Kusuo's parents before his prayer session, and they become excited upon learning he is their son's school friend. After Shun finishes praying, Hiro appears and introduces himself to Kusuo's parents. He describes Kusuo as well-mannered and nice, further delighting Kusuo's parents, who are thrilled their son seems to have friends. During his prayer, Hiro requests a formidable opponent who can also be a good friend. Riki then arrives, and Hiro immediately considers him both a friend and a rival. It appears everyone's prayers are being answered, except for Kusuo's. Riki goes to the temple and prays that Kusuo gets a girlfriend. Unexpectedly, Kokomi appears out of nowhere, seemingly making Riki's prayer potentially come true. Kusuo's parents become even more excited upon learning Kokomi is also Kusuo's friend. Overwhelmed by the commotion, Kusuo simply walks away. Kokomi claims she didn't come to pray but to bring happiness to those at the shrine, before preparing to leave. During dinner at Kusuo's house, his mother accidentally mentions Kusuo's psychic powers. An awkward silence fills the room as everyone tries to comprehend her statement. Kusuo's father attempts to make a clumsy explanation, but his efforts do little to clarify the situation. Kusuo's friends are skeptical until Riki skillfully redirects the conversation, effectively saving Kusuo from further scrutiny. After the meal and socializing, Kusuo's classmates prepare to leave. His parents warmly invite them to return anytime. As the group walks home, Kokomi expresses concern about Kusuo's mother's mysterious comment. Kusuo secretly follows them, using his telepathy to discover that they are still pondering the earlier revelation. Once the group separates, Kusuo decides to address the situation systematically. quickly. He uses a device capable of erasing 1 minute of memory, first targeting Riki. When school resumes after the break, Kusuo has successfully swapped the memories of all classmates who were present during his mother's slip-up. However, Riki begins acting differently, appearing to know something and becoming closer to Kusuo than before. Riki now becomes Kusuo's primary concern, as he is the only potential threat to keeping his psychic abilities a secret. Mr. Matsuzaki, who serves as both the PE teacher and school counselor, begins confiscating non-educational items from students, such as game consoles. Most students fear and dislike him intensely. 3 students collaborate to devise a plan for revenge against Matsuzaki's strict behavior. They place a love letter in his locker, claiming someone is deeply in love with him and requesting a meeting at a specific location. Kusuo observes their plan carefully. Mr. Matsuzaki waits at the designated spot for 2 hours, but the students fail to make their anticipated move. Tired of waiting, they prepare to leave. Just then, a girl appears. When Mr. Matsuzaki asks if she wrote the letter, she confirms she did. Unbeknownst to everyone, this girl is actually Kusuo in a female disguise, a transformation he can perform at will, even changing into animals. Mr. Matsuzaki responds to the girl by apologetically explaining he cannot reciprocate her feelings, emphasizing his commitment to professional integrity as a teacher. During their conversation, he discovers the boys who set up the prank and immediately sends them home. Before their departure, he returns the confiscated items to the students. Kusuo has once again resolved the situation using his unique abilities, solving the problem with his characteristic subtle intervention. During the chocolate festival and Valentine's Day, Raida is extremely excited about receiving chocolates. He even asks Kusuo to use his precognition to predict the number of chocolates he'll receive. Kusuo playfully uses his power and tells Raida he will get 0 chocolates. At school, students begin exchanging chocolates. Hyro receives numerous chocolates due to his popularity, accumulating so many that he doesn't know what to do with them. Shun finds a chocolate pouch on his desk and becomes excited, believing a girl gave it to him. He rushes to a private area to check, only to discover it's a prank from Riki. Kokomi arrives at school, and girls crowd around her, expecting her to distribute chocolates. She escapes to the restroom to catch her breath. She has brought chocolate, but it's specifically for Kusuo. She tries to convince herself she's giving the chocolate as a thank you gift for the New Year dinner, though it's obvious she has a crush on Kusuo. Realizing that giving chocolate to Kusuo might trigger competition among the boys who are all expecting chocolates from her, Kokomi opens the window and attempts to discard the chocolate. However, Kusuo is downstairs and effortlessly catches the chocolate with his extraordinary reflexes. One day, while home alone, Kusuo hears Riki's voice but deliberately ignores the door. Suddenly, Riki appears by the window on the 2nd floor. Kusuo asks how he got there, shocked when Riki seemingly phases through the window into the room. It then becomes clear that the person is not Riki, but his deceased father, an exact look-alike. Kusuo is puzzled by seeing a ghost, as he doesn't typically have the ability to see spirits. He has only encountered Riki's father twice before, once at the grave and another time through Raida's spirit eyes. Riki's father begins pressuring Kusuo to demonstrate his abilities, but Kusuo simply wants to be rid of him. Kusuo attempts to teleport to a distant island, yet Riki's father mysteriously appears again. Kusuo tries to use his powers to eliminate Riki's father, but they prove ineffective against the ghost. Frustrated, Kusuo takes Riki's father to meet Reita, since the ghost is Reita's guardian spirit. He hopes Raida can explain why the ghost is following him. Raida is surprised that Kusuo can see the spirit, but Kusuo is only concerned with finding a way to get rid of Riki's father. Raida reveals that only ghosts can effectively deal with other ghosts. Kusuo decides to use his astral projection power, separating his soul from his physical body. Now able to interact with the ghost, he punches Riki's father into the soul void, finally eliminating him. Kusuo returns home to find a salesman selling unnecessary items to his mother. Later, she receives a phone call claiming her husband has been arrested for groping women and requires bail money. Without hesitation, she sends the funds. However, her husband soon arrives home, revealing she has fallen victim to a phone scam. Despite the financial loss, Kusuo's father cannot be angry with his wife, understanding she was acting out of concern for her family's welfare. They devise a plan to recover their money from the salesman. Kusuo's mother goes into a frenzy, chasing the salesman away so aggressively that Kusuo confidently declares the salesman will never return. Subsequently, Kusuo discovers a ring made of germanium that prevents him from using his telepathy. He learns that contact with this element completely blocks his psychic abilities. This comes as a relief to Kusuo, who has been constantly bombarded by the thoughts of everyone within a 200-meter radius since childhood. The ring offers him the quiet he has long desired. Kusuo realizes he has always wanted to visit the cinema, but couldn't because his telepathy would reveal all the movie's important details before he even entered. He has never experienced the true feeling of watching a film without knowing its entire plot. This ring presents the perfect opportunity for him to watch the newly released movie and enjoy a genuine cinema experience. Kusuo arrives at the cinema and finds a seat. To his surprise, Kokomi is sitting right next to him. him. Because of the germanium ring blocking his telepathy, Kusuo has no way of knowing her thoughts. He chooses to keep the ring on, unwilling to compromise his long-awaited movie experience. Kokomi mentions she is there with someone, and moments later, that person arrives. None other than Toru Mugami, the star of the movie they are about to watch. The following day, Kokomi is in her room, distressed about the previous day's events. She clarifies that she was not on a date with Toru, though everyone, including Kusuo, assumed she was. She worries about what Kusuo might be thinking. While pondering this, Toru appears behind her. Kokomi scolds him and blames him for the misunderstandings. It is revealed that Toru is actually a stage name, and his real name is Makoto, and he is Kokomi's brother. Meanwhile, Kusuo's parents are watching a show starring Toru, of whom they are big fans. The doorbell rings, and upon opening, they are shocked to find Toru at their doorstep. Toru explains his real reason for visiting. He is Kokomi's brother, and is concerned about rumors suggesting he and Kokomi are a couple. This revelation excites Kusuo's parents even more, as they interpret it to mean Kokomi sees Kusuo as a potential romantic interest. After Kusuo's parents leave, Toru and Kusuo are left alone to talk. Toru's eccentric personality quickly becomes apparent. Toru tells Kusuo to stay away from his sister, claiming he has been taking care of her since childhood, and will be the one to marry her. His statement reveals a deeply disturbed mindset. While Toru is speaking, Kusuo uses his telepathy to summon Kokomi to his house. She arrives and is surprised to see her brother. Immediately, she understands that Kusuo now knows about her concerns regarding him. She tells her brother that she hates him and storms off. This completely devastates Toru, who feels he has just lost his sister. During the school exams, Kusuo typically uses his telepathy to cheat, carefully ensuring he scores just average to avoid drawing attention. Before the test, the teacher warns that failing 3 subjects means repeating the class, which worries everyone about Riki. During the exam, Kusuo is surprised to see Riki answering questions correctly. He realizes Riki's father is helping him. When the results are announced, everyone is shocked that Riki places 90th among 181 students. Kusuo intentionally scores 91st, precisely where he aimed to be. Riki later reveals that the pencil he used belonged to his father. Later, Kusuo encounters Uryoku, who is drinking heavily. Uryoku is thrilled to see Kusuo and begs him to be his assistant in an upcoming magic show. He explains that his original assistant, Michael, has been in a life-threatening accident and won't be available. After being rejected by all his friends, Uryoku desperately asks Kusuo to help, mentioning that his ex-wife will be attending the show. Uryoku shows Kusuo the magic sawing box he made because he couldn't afford to buy one. Kusuo uses his power to analyze the box and detects some design errors. That night, Uryoku and Kusuo take the stage. Uryoku introduces Kusuo as his assistant and announces they will perform a teleportation magic trick. Their first performance succeeds. Someone enters the hall, and Uryoku hopes it's his ex-wife. When the door opens, it's Riki, leaving Kusuo shocked. Uryoku becomes excited and refers to Riki as his wife. Uryoku shares his backstory. Before becoming a performer, his name was Kuta. He met Midori at a cafe where she worked. After her husband's death, she was left raising her son alone. Uryoku fell in love and proposed, and they married. However, after losing his job, Midori left with her son. Since then, Uryoku has been trying to win her back. Upon closer examination, it becomes clear that Uryoku mistook Riki for Midori due to their striking resemblance. Midori herself joins the conversation, and Kusuo can see the similarity. It is revealed that Midori is actually Riki's mother. Uryoku asks Midori if she'll give him another chance after watching his performance, and she agrees. Moments later, the performance begins. Uryoku tells the audience that his assistant will enter the box, which he will then cut with a chainsaw. He promises to split the boxes and restore them to their original state, demonstrating that Kusuo's body will remain intact. While Kusuo knows the box has no built-in tricks, he plans to use his powers to ensure the performance's success. Riki suddenly stands up from the audience and volunteers to be inside the box. Uryoku reluctantly accepts, feeling pressured with Midori watching. He wants the trick to succeed but cannot bring himself to continue. Unwilling to risk Riki's life, Uryoku stops the performance. The show becomes a failure, and angry audience members leave. After everyone departs, Midori approaches Uryoku. She appreciates his integrity and promises to attend his show when he can guarantee its safety. Kusuo visits a cafe to enjoy coffee jelly. The waitress drops her cup upon seeing him. It's his classmate Mera. She panics, knowing students are forbidden from having part-time jobs. Mera begs Kusuo not to expose her, explaining that her poor parents need her help. After leaving the cafe, Kusuo uses his power to change the school rules, permitting students to work part-time jobs. During the school's physical fitness test, students undergo various routines like power throw and agility tests. Hiro now considers Riki his formidable rival. Riki defeats Hiro in the power throw, but Hiro believes he'll match Riki in the agility test. Hiro champions the grip test, while Kusuo carefully maintains an average score. In the final test, the forward bend, Hiro is determined not to lose, which would mean an automatic victory for Riki. Hiro ultimately wins and shakes hands with Riki afterward. Kusuo notices the brown cat he previously rescued has returned to his house. The cat strategically targets Kusuo's father, who loves pets, as part of his plan to eventually get Kusuo to pet him. Having already won over Kusuo's father, the cat is determined to complete his mission by any means necessary. Meanwhile, Kusuo is actively seeking ways to get rid of the cat. An ash-colored female cat soon appears in the neighborhood. Kusuo sees an opportunity to use the female cat to distract the brown male cat, who is already interested in her. Transforming into a cat himself, Kusuo offers to help the brown cat win the female's affection. He promises to mentor the cat and show him how to attract her. The brown cat agrees and follows Kusuo's instructions. However, everything Kusuo suggests backfires. Surprisingly, the female cat becomes interested in Kusuo instead of the brown cat. As time passes, Kusuo's father becomes increasingly attached to the cats, naming the brown cat Amp and the female cat Puss. He cares for them outside the house to avoid triggering his wife's cat allergies. Kusuo is incredulous that his father has so readily taken in these two cats, completely unaware of the complicated feline drama unfolding in his own backyard. Kusuo explains that he has stopped playing popular games because his telepathy reveals their plot twists and spoilers. As a result, he now plays cheap, unpopular games with nonsensical storylines. He does this simply to keep himself occupied when bored. Initially, the games seem uninteresting, but after some time, Kusuo becomes accustomed to the graphics and gameplay. Eventually, he finds himself genuinely enjoying the game, smiling as he plays. After a long day of playing the Olfana game, Kusuo finally completes it. His game controller has become faulty from intense pressing and squeezing, but this poses no problem for Kusuo, who can easily repair it with his abilities. Later, Shun and his classmates are walking through the neighborhood when they encounter Shun's mother. Delighted to see her son's friends, she invites them to her house. Upon arrival, she takes them to Shun's room, which is spacious and impressive. Riki immediately begins jumping around the room. Shun's mother leaves to prepare tea for her guests. Riki starts exploring Shun's belongings and discovers a notebook that Shun clearly wants to keep private. After briefly examining the notebook, Riki abandons it and proceeds to scatter the contents of Shun's bookshelf. Shun's mother returns with tea and begins asking the boys about their future plans. Riki shares his intention to attend college. Kusuo, however, indicates he has no specific plans and seems more concerned with the beverage in front of him. This response infuriates Shun's mother, who views Kusuo as a bad influence. She takes Shun aside privately and scolds him intensely. She declares that she doesn't want Shun associating with Riki and Kusuo, insisting he should have friends who are equal to or better than him. It becomes clear that Shun's mother is an extremely strict parent who is deeply committed to her son's educational success. During her investigation, she also discovers a fictional story Shun has been writing in one of his notebooks. In the next scene, Raida confides in Kusuo about his romantic interests. He is interested in a classmate named Yoriko, who consistently rejects his advances. Raida reveals a new supernatural ability called spirit channeling, which allows ghosts to possess his body and act through him. He has enlisted the help of a former celebrity ghost, known for his success with women. Raida approaches Yoriko, currently possessed by the star's ghost, attempting to confess his love. Initially, everything seems to be going according to plan. However, the situation quickly deteriorates, and Yoriko rejects him. Undeterred, Raida tries again by allowing another ghost, one who reportedly had a harem in his previous life, to possess him. His second attempt fails dramatically when he slips and falls on Yoriko. She perceives him as a pervert and chases him away once more. While walking down the street, Kusuo notices a boy's balloon drifting into the sky. He helps the boy Yuta by flying up and retrieving the balloon. After returning it, the boy becomes fascinated with Kusuo, comparing him to his favorite superhero, the Cyborg Man. Despite Kusuo's attempts to clarify that he is not the superhero, Yuta refuses to listen. When Kusuo tries to leave, Yuta begins to cry, begging him to stay and demonstrate his powers. Reluctant to reveal his abilities, Kusuo is ultimately forced to act when a car nearly runs over a girl. He uses his power to shift the car away, saving both the girl and the car's occupants. The boy is thrilled by Kusuo's tricks and demands to see more. Kusuo continues to impress Yuta, and they lose track of time. Realizing how late it has become, Yuta suddenly remembers he hasn't seen his mother since the afternoon. Just as he's about to cry, Kusuo offers to help find her. He flies Yuta to his mother's location and quickly hides before being spotted. The boy excitedly tells his mother about being saved by the Cyborg Man. Kusuo sighs with relief and heads home. To his dismay, he discovers the boy and his mother have moved into the house next door, the Iridatsu family. Yuta immediately recognizes Kusuo and tells his mother that he is the Cyborg Man he had been talking about. Kusuo realizes he is now in a complicated situation. One morning, Kusuo's father, Kuniharu, discovers he is late for work at a publishing company that produces manga. He begs Kusuo to teleport him to work to avoid being reprimanded by his boss. Kusuo reluctantly agrees and teleports his father to the building's roof. As Kusuo prepares to leave, his father insists he come inside to meet his coworkers. They walk down to the chief editor's office. The editor, Onumatsu, is about to scold Kuniharu, but stops when Kuniharu claims he was late because his son wanted to meet the editor-in-chief. He adds that Kusuo is a fan of Onumatsu's works. Impressed, Onumatsu forgets to reprimand Kuniharu. Kuniharu then tours Kusuo around the office, showing him various manga editions. Kusuo quickly becomes bored and announces he is leaving. Despite his father's protests, Kusuo cannot be stopped. At least he got to see his father's workplace. During summer break, Kusuo is enjoying his solitude at home when Yuta and his mother arrive. Yuta's mother is going out and wants Yuta to stay with Kusuo. After she leaves, Yuta excitedly explores the house, thrilled to be in the same space as the cyborg man. Yuta brings out a cyborg man movie and asks Kusuo to watch it with him. While Yuta plays the movie and becomes engrossed in the scene where the cyborg man defeats Baron Cola, Kusuo remains disinterested, focusing instead on reading a book. Suddenly, Riki appears in the house. Yuta becomes terrified because Riki resembles Baron Cola, the villain from the movie. Riki makes the situation worse by intentionally scaring the boy, causing Yuta to flee the house in fear. Kusuo becomes furious that Riki might have traumatized the young boy and punches Riki out of the house. Seeking to make his holiday more enjoyable, Kusuo visits the festival grounds. As he walks around, he notices his friends are also present, but successfully avoids each of them while they're busy with their activities. Kusuo continues to enjoy the festival, observing the various events. He soon discovers his wallet is missing. Simultaneously, other festival goers begin complaining about their stolen wallets. Kusuo feels embarrassed, as this is the first time someone has actually managed to steal from him. The thief's confidence particularly irritates him. Determined to catch the culprit, Kusuo uses his power to identify the thief. The thief is still walking among the crowd with dozens of stolen wallets when Kusuo makes him trip. All the stolen wallets fall out, but the thief manages to escape before being caught. However, the thief runs into Kusuo in the woods. Wearing a scary mask, Kusuo thoroughly torments the thief before ultimately handing him over to the police. Days later, Kokomi encounters Chio on the street. Interestingly, both had been thinking about Kusuo just before running into each other. They decide to visit a cafe and have a drink. Their conversation centers on the upcoming school trip to Okinawa. The two begin fantasizing about how they might spend the trip with Kusuo. They start discussing their current crushes, carefully dancing around revealing the specific identities. Both confirm they have crushes but refuse to disclose who they're interested in. Unbeknownst to them, the very person they're discussing is sitting right next to them. Riki and Shun are also present in the cafe. Eventually, the group discovers each other and leaves together. Preparations for the school trip continue. Students will be divided into groups of 6, consisting of 3 girls and 3 boys. Kusuo tells his friends to choose their group members, stating he's fine with whoever is left. Chio and Kokomi learn that Kusuo hasn't been assigned to a group yet, presenting an opportunity they're eager to exploit. They plan to include Mira as the 3rd girl in their group. However, Mira is currently working a part-time job. As they strategize, Kokomi realizes that all the boys want her in their group. This popularity becomes a complication, making it difficult for her to freely discuss and choose her preferred group. To resolve the group selection chaos, they decide to use a lottery method. The boys' names are placed in a box, and students begin picking groups. Kokomi draws first, but is devastated to find she's not in Kusuo's group. Kusuo, Shun, and Riki are already grouped together. Another group of girls picks their card and becomes disappointed about being in Riki's group. Seeing an opportunity, Kokomi suggests her group is willing to exchange. Others believe she's doing this for Riki, unaware of her hidden agenda to be in Kusuo's group. She is thrilled when she finally succeeds in joining Kusuo's group. Minutes later, they learn that Mira won't be able to join the trip. The grouping changes immediately. Now each group will have 7 members instead of 6. This is terrible news for Kokomi, who had carefully maneuvered to be in Kusuo's group. The night before the trip, Toru visits Kusuo's home to warn him to stay away from his sister. He knows they'll be on the trip together, but is determined to keep Kusuo away from Kokomi. Toru accuses Kusuo of being a pervert, ironically failing to recognize his own inappropriate behavior. To complicate matters further, Makoto, Toru, will also be coming on the trip to keep an eye on his sister. Kusuo has already informed Makoto's manager, hoping they can help keep him in check. Kusuo is determined not to let Makoto ruin his carefully planned group arrangements. At the airport, the student's flight is suspended due to a typhoon. Initially, they are unconcerned, expecting only a brief 10-minute delay. However, the situation deteriorates when it becomes unclear if the flight will take off at all. Kokomi is particularly disappointed, having worked hard to be in Kusuo's group, only to face this potential trip cancellation. As students begin to panic about their disrupted plans, they ask Mr. Matt a critical question. Will the trip be postponed if the flight is cancelled? Matt delivers devastating news, stating that the entire trip will be cancelled if they cannot depart that day. The students' mood immediately plummets. Unable to bear their suffering, Kusuo decides to intervene. He teleports directly to the location of the typhoon and makes it disappear. The students erupts in joy when they realize they can now proceed with their trip. Shortly after, they board the plane and begin their journey to Okinawa. Kusuo uses his powers to address various problems. When Shun becomes sick and worries about his secret book, Kusuo teleports to Shun's house and retrieves it. Shun is relieved to suddenly find the book in his jacket. Another student develops stomach pain, so Kusuo reverses their body system by a day, ensuring they will experience the pain tomorrow instead. He meticulously manages these interventions to prevent anything from ruining the school trip and his carefully laid plans. Kusuo takes a nap and experiences a prophetic dream about the plane crashing into the ocean. Upon waking, he begins considering ways to prevent this potential disaster. Suddenly, the plane loses altitude and starts to nosedive towards the water. Unexpectedly, the plane regains altitude. Unbeknownst to the passengers, Kusuo is literally supporting the plane from underneath, lifting it because he doesn't want to waste time investigating the cause of the problem. They eventually land safely in Okinawa. Inside the bus, Kusuo hopes the 3-day trip will proceed as planned. Everyone is excited about the journey. The bus stops to allow students to eat, and they order Okinawa soba. Afterward, they tour the area, with some students buying pineapples to experience the local fruit. Men gather around Kokomi, admiring her beauty. Shun and his friends visit a Viper vs. Mongoose show, but are disappointed to find it's just a 3-minute video rather than a live event. Shun purchases numerous souvenirs before leaving. They arrive at their hotel and choose their rooms. Mr. Matt instructs them to prepare for dinner. While students are bathing, 3 boys attempt to use long lenses to spy on the girls, but Kusuo blocks their vision. Exhausted from his efforts, Kusuo goes outside and sits by the beach, deciding to take a nap. Back home, Kusuo's parents worry about him losing the device on his head. Kusuo continues sleeping when Kokomi arrives. Out of curiosity, she removes the device from Kusuo's head. Later, Raida wakes Kusuo up in a panic, informing him that the hotel has disappeared. Kusuo discovers his device is missing and realizes the hotel's disappearance is likely his own doing. He uses his powers to locate the hotel, finding it has been teleported to the middle of the sea, replacing a sunken ship. One of the students awakens and discovers they are at sea, about to inform the others. However, Kusuo quickly resolves the situation before anyone can react. Kusuo asks Reita if he has the device, but Reita denies it. Using his powers, Kusuo confirms Reita is telling the truth. He realizes Kokomi must have the device and that he would have inadvertently teleported her away when she removed it. Searching for Kokomi, he finds her in a forest with a bear about to attack. Kusuo eliminates the bear, saving her life. Kokomi is shocked to see Kusuo and wonders if she's dreaming. Seeing an opportunity, Kusuo plays along with her confusion. To prevent her friends from panicking, Kusuo uses his powers to make Reita appear like Kokomi. Believing she's in a lucid dream, Kokomi rests on Kusuo's shoulders. Kusuo continues to play along, teleporting her wherever she wants to go. Kusuo needs to retrieve his device to regain control over his powers. He cannot touch Kokomi normally, as he might accidentally kill her. Kokomi continues to give Kusuo instructions, believing she's still dreaming. Kusuo must play along to prevent her from suspecting anything. After a challenging period, Kusuo finally retrieves the device and teleports Kokomi back to the hotel. He warns Reita not to ask about the incident, making it clear he has no intention of discussing what happened. Kusuo then teleports home to get some proper sleep. The next morning, his friends inquire about his whereabouts, but he chooses not to answer. Kokomi is afraid to look at Kusuo, still puzzled by the dream she experienced and wondering how Kusuo appeared in it. After breakfast, the students board the bus for visits to a pineapple farm and an aquarium. Following these tours, they plan to spend their afternoon at the beach. Meanwhile, Chio is seeking ways to catch Kusuo's attention. Kusuo is aware of her intentions but struggles to find a solution, simultaneously worrying about Kokomi and Chio. After exploring the farm and aquarium, the students make their way to the Emerald Beach. The boys eagerly wait outside the girls' locker room to see Kokomi emerge in her jumpsuit. They are completely mesmerized by her beauty. Kokomi is surprised that Kusuo remains completely unaffected by her level of skin exposure. Chio also steps out but receives none of the attention Kokomi got. She is even more disappointed to see the boys noticing Mera more than her. Despite her disappointment, Chio's only desire is to receive a compliment from Kusuo. Not seeing him around, she asks Riki about his whereabouts. Riki tells her that Kusuo mentioned going somewhere. This news makes Chio sad, feeling that Kusuo didn't even bother to look her way. While sitting and feeling dejected, Shun approaches and asks if she can swim. Chio admits she cannot, but Shun continues the conversation. His face begins to turn red, and Chio notices that Shun finds her attractive. Suddenly, Kokomi appears, causing Shun to roll backward 3 times. Chio is stunned that Shun shows more reaction to Kokomi than to her. Shun later saves Kokomi from 2 boys who are harassing her. When the boys become aggressive, Shun initially steps back. Chio arrives to defend Kokomi, but the boys mock her, claiming she's just jealous because no one has hit on her. This angers Shun, who defends Chio. She punches one of the boys in the face, and Kusuo uses his power to make the punch extremely painful. Shun makes Chio incredibly happy by telling her that she is cute. Kusuo is impressed by Shun's behavior. As the school trip approaches its conclusion, Kusuo becomes fixated on obtaining a coffee jelly he saw in an advertisement. The jelly looks delicious, and he plans to enjoy it alone. He carefully devises strategies to avoid his friends and the girls interfering with his coffee jelly mission. Even when Makoto appears, Kusuo finds a way to get rid of him. Nothing will stand between Kusuo and his red bean coffee jelly. Finally reaching the cafe, Kusuo is shocked shocked to find his friends already inside. With no other option, he asks for the coffee jelly, only to be told they've sold out. To his surprise, his friends have purchased all the available jellies. However, in a gesture of kindness, they all share their coffee jelly with Kusuo, and he ends up with an even larger portion than anyone else. Kusuo considers the mission a success and wears a satisfied smile. Sometime later, a teacher introduces a new transfer student to the class. The student writes his name on the board, Aaron Kuboyasu. He appears to be a civil and law-abiding student who makes jokes, quickly gaining popularity among his classmates. Kusuo soon discovers Aaron's hidden truth. Aaron is actually a troublemaker, the reason for his transfer from his previous school. He frequently causes problems and gets into fights. Kusuo resolves to monitor Aaron closely and ensure he is transferred away if he creates any trouble for the academy. As Aaron walks through the school, he struggles to control his violent impulses. He bumps shoulders with a student and nearly hits someone with a fire extinguisher before restraining himself. When he encounters Riki, he feels tempted to fight but manages to hold back. Aaron intervenes when he catches a bully threatening a student, dealing with the situation decisively. Kusuo witnesses everything, having been following Aaron around. A week after transferring, Aaron is relieved that no one has discovered his past as a delinquent. Worried about making friends, he tries to talk to Kusuo but is brushed off. Shun approaches Aaron, and they quickly become friends. Raida might have gotten along with him, but Aaron is not as perverted as Raida. When Kokomi speaks to him, Aaron loses his composure, having never seen someone so elegant. That same day, Aaron befriends Hiro. He becomes curious about Kusuo after hearing that even the strong Hiro couldn't defeat him. He's surprised to discover that all students are trying to be Kusuo's friend, realizing Kusuo is subtly pulling the strings. In the next scene, Shun and Kusuo accompany Riki to his father's grave. Kusuo remains puzzled about his ability to see Riki's father. Midori arrives during their visit, stunning Shun, who sees Riki's mother for the first time. Despite their striking resemblance, Midori insists Riki takes after his father. It is revealed that Riki's father has no memories from his past life and cannot see his own reflection in the mirror. Consequently, he is unaware that Riki and Midori are related to him. Midori invites the boys to her house. Shun excitedly explores Riki's room, going through his belongings and scattering his bookshelf. Riki's father confides in Kusuo about his feelings for Midori, unaware that they were once married. He wishes he could express his love to her. Kusuo decides to help. He finds a way to transfer the ghost into Riki, giving him just a few seconds to speak to Midori. In the kitchen, the ghost uses Riki's body to tell Midori he loves her. Midori is bewildered by her son's strange behavior. As the ghost's time expires, Riki collapses on the floor. Later, Kusuo visits the cafe where Mera works, now a regular customer. He discovers he's the only patron, as the cafe has lost its customers to a new establishment nearby. Mera explains that her boss is struggling to adapt to the new competition. Kusuo calls a meeting with Mera and her boss to brainstorm ways to attract customers back. Mera suggests reducing prices, but the manager rejects this idea. Instead, he proposes paying Mera 30 yen to work in a maid cafe, which she accepts. Although initially reluctant to help, Kusuo notices the cafe has maintained its quality. He changes the closed sign to open to signal to potential customers that the cafe is still in business. Shun begins acting like his favorite crime-solving character when he learns someone broke into the school overnight, stealing the vase from the principal's office. He leads the investigation, systematically ruling out suspects with strong alibis. Even Mr. Matt is initially considered but later cleared. They notice cut wounds on Takahashi's hands, immediately making him the prime suspect. Under pressure, both Takahashi and Mr. Matt confess. They reveal they accidentally broke the vase the previous day and returned to school to fix it. Takahashi received the cuts while attempting to repair the vase. They apologize to the principal for their actions. As the school festival approaches, Kusuo's class brainstorms potential events. Hiro solicits suggestions from the students. Various ideas are proposed, including a maid cafe and a zombie-themed event. One student shows an unusual rock he found in the schoolyard, prompting a suggestion to gather more unique rocks as an exhibition theme. Multiple suggestions are considered, but none gain unanimous support. Kusuo decides to take action. Using his powers, he brings down a meteorite into the classroom, stunning his classmates. Someone then proposes displaying the meteorite alongside the unusual rocks found in the schoolyard, establishing the exhibition's theme. Raida approaches Kusuo about forming a band for the festival, initially met with Kusuo's refusal. However, Raida eventually convinces Kusuo to join. Raida introduces Kusuo to the other band members, and they practice together. Their performance is surprisingly beautiful, impressing even the band members themselves. Kusuo leaves before the practice session ends. The band claims they don't need him, but Raida understands the truth. Kusuo used his telepathy to synchronize their sounds and voices perfectly. The band sounds exceptional because of Kusuo's hidden intervention. Kusuo is concerned about the band's lack of skill, believing they could improve with practice. However, the band refuses to practice, convinced of their own excellence. They avoid rehearsing until the day of the festival. Students begin bringing rocks for the exhibition. The principal then addresses the students, and Kokomi is crowned Miss PK for the year. Kusuo and his friends decide to explore the school's various festival events, including haunted houses and maid cafes. The trio visits one of the haunted houses. The first scare actor faints upon seeing Riki, making for a comical failure. Another scare actor appears and successfully frightens Shun, who passes out and remains unconscious until they leave the haunted house. Kusuo visits the restroom to wash his face. After removing his glasses, he looks up to find Riki wearing them. This creates a serious problem for Kusuo, as he wears the glasses to protect people from a dangerous power, his ability to turn anyone he directly looks at into stone. Riki immediately turns to stone, and the glasses also petrify and break. Kusuo considers solutions, contemplating turning back time, but realizing it won't resolve the issue. He understands that the petrification will naturally wear off after a day, with the affected person having no memory of what occurred during that time. Kusuo's father arrives, bringing another pair of glasses. Initially unaware that the stone is actually Riki, he admires what he believes to be a well-crafted statue. Mtori enters the room, and Kusuo and his father are anxious about her potential reaction. Surprisingly, she too fails to recognize the stone as her son, instead suggesting they display it as a festival attraction. When the statue is exhibited, the principal declares Class 3 as having the best class attraction. Everyone is impressed by the intricate details and quality of the carving. Kusuo becomes hyper-focused on ensuring the statue remains intact, knowing Riki's life depends on it. During the exhibition, Yuta plays near the statue, causing it to nearly fall. Kusuo quickly jumps underneath, absorbing the shock and preventing the statue from breaking. Days later, Riki is back to his normal self. Riki, Shun, and Kusuo are out as usual, heading to a party Hiro invited them to. They struggle to get directions, with Hiro speaking incoherently on the phone. The trio wanders around town, increasingly lost as time passes. Eventually, they are directed to a dark alley. Walking through, they emerge at what appears to be an old house. Upon entering, they are surprised to find a modernized party room. Hiro enthusiastically welcomes the boys, and the party begins. Kusuo is impressed by Riki and Shun's persistence in finding the location. One morning, Kokomi discovers Makoto in her bed, which infuriates her. She stops speaking to him again. Later, Makoto approaches Kusuo seeking help, maintaining his arrogant demeanor despite essentially begging for assistance. Makoto explains that Kokomi is not talking to him and needs Kusuo's help. A movie set is scheduled to be in the neighborhood the next day. Makoto wants to prevent the film industry from discovering Kokomi, fearing she might be scouted and become a big actress. Kusuo agrees to help, not out of fondness for Makoto, but because he knows Kokomi's potential fame could lead to fans gathering at the school gate, creating complications. Kusuo finds Kokomi at school and informs her that her brother has come to see him. He advises her not to go to the neighborhood. Kokomi immediately assumes Makoto is causing trouble for Kusuo. More importantly, she is thrilled that Kusuo has spoken to her directly. She suggests an apology date. Using his powers, Kusuo realizes Kokomi might faint if he refuses, so he agrees to the date. They head to the mall street, struggling to find a suitable restaurant. Eventually, they find a cafe and enter. As usual, men begin gathering around Kokomi. Kusuo realizes the movie people are approaching the neighborhood, creating urgency to leave. Just as he contemplates an escape, the director parks outside the cafe. Kusuo changes the sign to closed to deter them and finds a way to get Kokomi out. He can't go to the train station because the film cast might be there. Kokomi notices Kusuo's conflict and suggests going to a bowling center, which Kusuo reluctantly accepts. They visit several date locations. In one mall, Kusuo encounters Makoto, who is furious about Kusuo being on a date with his sister. Kusuo quickly grabs Makoto and runs away. Although Makoto chases them, Kusuo uses his power to make himself and Kokomi invisible. Kokomi is having the time of her life, especially since Kusuo is holding her hand. On December 24th, Christmas Eve, Kusuo dresses as Santa and distributes gifts. This was typically his father's responsibility, but since his father is injured, Kusuo volunteered to prevent his mother from taking on the task. He visits houses quickly using his powers, arriving just in time for children eagerly awaiting Santa. Kusuo efficiently distributes gifts to all houses in town. At the last house, a boy wishes for Santa to reunite his parents. Kusuo explains this is impossible, but drops a gift and subtly stops the parents from fighting. The Santa mission is a complete success. As the new year begins, everyone exchanges gifts. Kusuo receives his new year allowance and decides to buy a new TV, as his current one has been malfunctioning. He has been repeatedly turning back time whenever he wants to use the existing TV, realizing it's time for a replacement. At the electronics store, a salesperson shows Kusuo various large, expensive TVs and gaming models. After thoroughly examining the store, Kusuo selects a small TV that meets his preferences. The salesman attempts to overcharge him, but Kusuo proves too smart to be swindled. The salesman tries multiple tactics to extract extra money from Kusuo but fails. However, he finally succeeds when advertising a jelly maker. Kusuo cannot resist the temptation and buys the product, ironically paying more for the jelly maker than the TV itself. When school resumes, Kusuo and his friends start sharing their break experiences. Raida proudly tells Kusuo about earning money by ringing the shrine's bell for visitors. Chio feels anxious about gaining a bit of weight, worried that Shun might not like her appearance. However, she feels relieved when she realizes the towel is contributing to her weight. Kokomi Kokomi is upset outside her house, having sent Kusuo a New Year's letter. She's worried because he hasn't responded and tries to convince herself that he's just having trouble writing back. Unbeknownst to her, Kusuo is nearby, hesitating about giving her a letter that might negatively impact her perception of him. One morning, Shun is walking to school when he spots Eren in the distance. As he's about to approach, he sees some troublemakers surrounding Eren. Shun considers getting help, but is stunned when Eren effortlessly handles the crooks. This reveals a hidden side of Eren that Shun never knew existed. Doubting Eren's true nature, Shun decides to take a different route to school to avoid him. When Shun arrives at school, he's visibly disturbed by his earlier encounter with Eren. His anxiety intensifies when Eren tries to talk to him. Shun becomes so nervous that he hides behind Riki whenever Eren approaches, seeing him as a threatening figure. Riki is puzzled by Shun's strange behavior. In the locker room, while changing for physical exercise, Shun is shocked to discover Aren's muscular physique hidden beneath his clothes. This only increases Shun's suspicion that Eren is a delinquent. During the baseball game, Aren's bat-holding technique further convinces Shun of his dangerous nature. After the game, Shun is seen caring for a homeless dog, which makes him start questioning his assumptions about Eren. Later, Eren and Kusuo are walking home when they encounter some troublemakers. The crook demand money from them. Initially defiant, Shun becomes submissive when their leaders appear with a staff. The leader threatens them to hand over their wallets or face consequences. Shun quickly complies, dropping his wallet to avoid trouble. Kusuo also surrenders his wallet under pressure. Kusuo finds an opportunity to escape and runs away, not wanting to confront the crooks. The thugs mock him for abandoning his friend. This provokes Kusuo's anger, and he's about to retaliate when Eren arrives. Kusuo sees this as a chance to let Eren handle the situation. Eren is visibly angry seeing Shun in trouble. Despite wanting to be a normal guy, he can't stand by while his friend is in danger. He fights the crooks, easily knocking them all out. Shun is touched that Eren would protect him and considers him a true friend. Shun then openly admits that he knows about Eren's hidden side. The two shake hands on their way home. Days later, Shun, Riki, and Kusuo visit an arcade. Kusuo reminisces about his mother taking him there when he was younger, recalling his love for whack-a-mole. Shun and Riki start playing a modern ping pong game. What begins as a fair match quickly turns competitive. Shun ultimately wins, and Riki accepts defeat. Feeling guilty, Shun is troubled by Riki's easy surrender. A few days later, Shun, Kusuo, and Eren enter a convenience store. They are surprised to find Riki working at the counter. They wonder how someone struggling with basic arithmetic could be hired. The store manager explains that Riki actually saved him when he collapsed on the street, which led to Riki being given a part-time job. The manager suddenly fires Riki on the spot, citing numerous customer complaints. Despite thanking Riki for past help, he insists Riki cannot continue working there. Afterward, Riki tries finding another job but gets fired again. He then tells his friends about needing money for his mother's birthday, explaining how she has been struggling to support their family. Shun and Eren decide to help Riki find employment. However, they end up making things worse and mess up every opportunity. Kusuo is amazed at how ineffective they are, finding them even less capable than Riki. The school marathon is the next event. Kusuo plans to finish in an average position. The race begins with Hiro looking like the top runner. He leads till Riki catches up, which surprises Hiro since Riki had stopped for a drink. Hiro starts wondering if Riki is even human. Hiro uses all his strength to run, but Riki treats the race casually. Despite this, Riki keeps pace with Hiro. Many students drop out during the race. Kusuo secretly uses his powers to help the struggling runners, careful not to draw attention to himself. Near the race's end, Riki would have won if Hiro hadn't tricked him into looking away. Hiro wins, with Riki coming second. Kusuo deliberately finishes in 45th place, exactly as he planned. Meanwhile, the girls' marathon is happening at another location. Kokomi arrives at Kusuo's house to receive cooking lessons from his mother. Nervously, she rings the doorbell, and Yuta answers. As she enters, she feels uncomfortable because Kusuo's mother treats her like Kusuo's girlfriend. Kokomi tries to act calm, but Kusuo knows exactly what she's thinking. Yuta initially acts rudely towards Kokomi, which worries her. However, his attitude changes when Kokomi brings a cake for him. After eating and enjoying the cake, Yuta thanks her and calls her auntie. This completely surprises Kokomi, who never expected to be called an auntie. She decides to get revenge and make Yuta appreciate her beauty. Unexpectedly, Yuta becomes attached to Kokomi before she leaves. In the next scene, Kusuo is at a cafe. After finishing his order, he realizes he doesn't have his wallet. He considers calling his parents but doesn't want to disturb them. Kusuo decides to teleport his wallet by exchanging items of equal value. He starts teleporting things from his parents and friends, causing trouble for everyone. For instance, he teleports his father's belt, making his trousers fall, and his father gets accused of being a pervert. After gathering enough materials to pay for his meal, Kusuo realizes it would have been much easier to simply wash dishes at the cafe. Kusuo is reading a book in the sitting room when his father arrives to show him a bot he has been working on. Suddenly, the bot breaks apart, and Kusuo's father immediately suspects Kusuo. Kusuo denies being responsible. The real culprit is Amp, who has come to check on the family after a long time. Kusuo uses his power to help fix the bot. Kuniharu quickly forgets about Amp's actions and rushes to bring him water and cat food. While Kuniharu is gone, Kusuo grabs the cat and throws him outside. The cat tries to re-enter but fails. When Kuniharu returns, He finds the cat unconscious outside the house and calls Kusuo's attention to it. Kusuo scans the cat with his power and discovers a tiny piece of the bot's part inside the cat's body. To save the cat, Kusuo shrinks himself and enters the cat's intestine through its mouth to remove the harmful object. After saving the cat, Kusuo refuses to return to his normal size. His father sees this as an opportunity to step on him, but ends up falling over instead. While tiny, Kusuo encounters a cockroach and becomes terrified. The cat unexpectedly saves him by killing the bug. Grateful for this, Kusuo pets the cat for the first time. Kusuo encounters Kongu, a third-year student who typically extorts him for money. Just as Kongu is about to demand money again, Mr. Matt appears and scolds him. He orders Kongu to fix his haircut or face disciplinary action, even threatening to fail him if he doesn't comply. Kongu claims he was trying to get money from Kusuo to pay for the haircut, but Mr. Matt refuses to accept this excuse. Despite Kongu's bad behavior, Matt still wants him to graduate. Later that day, Kusuo finds Kongu attempting to extort other students. Kusuo uses his power to fill Kongu's head with scary thoughts, forcing him to leave the people alone. After failing to get money from others, Kongu decides to use his own money for a haircut. Kusuo is surprised that Kongu actually has his own money, but still prefers to collect from others. In the salon, Kusuo uses his power to make Kongu fall asleep during the haircut. Kongu wakes up to find himself with a very short haircut and nearly attacks the barber in anger. Mr. Matt sees Kongu's new haircut and is impressed. He then tells Kongu to fix his uniform or risk not graduating. Kusuo doesn't believe someone like Kongu deserves to graduate. When Kongu later tries to harass Kusuo, Kusuo uses his power to show Kongu how hard Mr. Matt has been protecting him from deserved punishments. This revelation deeply affects Kongu, causing a significant change in his behavior. Kusuo's class visits a karaoke bar for a fun outing. Everyone is amazed when Kokomi performs on stage. Riki and Kusuo are selected to sing next, but Kusuo escapes to the restroom to avoid performing. He returns later for his meal, and his classmates try to get him to sing, but he still refuses to perform the assigned song. Later, Kusuo and his parents take a train trip to visit his grandparents, wanting to experience the journey again. They are warmly welcomed by his grandmother Kumi, a kind woman. In contrast, Kusuo's grandfather, Kumagoru, greets his son and grandson very coldly. He continues reading his newspaper, acting as if no one is present. Kusuo is accustomed to his grandfather's behavior. Neither grandparent knows about his special powers, and Kusuo has decided to keep everything he learns about them secret from his parents as well. Surprisingly, Kusuo's grandfather is not as indifferent as he appears. He deeply misses his son's family but refuses to show his true feelings openly. Whenever they visit, he would secretly stand by the wall, listening to their conversations with a hidden smile. Deep down, he wishes his son and his family could stay with them longer. Kumagoru carries a picture of Kusuo in his pocket. He overhears Grandma asking Kuniharu if they will stay for a couple of days. The grandfather silently hopes they will stay, but Kuniharu explains they must leave the next day. Kumagoru goes to the living room, pretending to have forgotten his newspaper. When Grandma asks if he wants his son to stay longer, he again pretends not to care, telling them they are free to do as they wish. Later, Kumagoru secretly dances in his room, excited about spending 3 days with his son and family. As usual, he eavesdrops on their conversations. When he hears them ask Kusuo to bring tea, he becomes happy at the prospect of talking to his grandson. Kusuo enters with tea, but Kumagoru finds it extremely difficult to express his true feelings. Kusuo leaves the room, and the grandfather immediately regrets his emotional restraint. Kusuo senses his grandfather's regret and decides to return. Understanding that his grandfather has been this way his entire life, Kusuo re-enters the room. They sit together, silently sharing snacks and exchanging meaningful looks, creating a moment of unspoken connection and understanding. Kusuo recalls a memory of his grandfather taking him to an amusement park when he was younger. The next day, the family plans an outing. While Kuniharu and the others want to visit a hot spring, Grandpa suggests going to the amusement park instead. His goal is to impress Kusuo and encourage future visits. They are surprised to find the park completely empty and run down. Kuniharu believes the rides are unsafe, but his father refuses to listen. Grandpa insists they ride the roller coaster. After the first ride, Kuniharu becomes too scared to try the Ferris wheel, giving Grandpa and Kusuo a chance to ride together. Though he tries to appear indifferent, Grandpa is actually blushing and struggling to find words, managing only a sigh. Kusuo uses his power to shake the Ferris wheel, but his grandfather still attempts to protect him, revealing his true care beneath his tough exterior. When it's time to return home, Grandpa offers to drive them to the train station. Secretly, he wants them to stay longer. He siphons the car's gas, hoping to delay their departure. However, Kusuo has anticipated this and kept a spare gas can in the trunk. During the journey, Grandpa becomes excited when they encounter a large debris blocking the road. Kusuo's father considers asking Kusuo to use his powers to clear the way, but his wife reminds him that Grandpa and Grandma are unaware of Kusuo's special abilities. Kusuo's parents decide to reveal his special powers to his grandparents. The elderly couple is shocked when Kusuo demonstrates his ability by effortlessly removing the road debris. Grandpa realizes Kusuo has likely been reading his thoughts all along. The family then returns home. Days days later, Kusuo wears his germanium ring to school. A highly anticipated game is being released, and he wants to avoid spoilers. After the school bell rings, Kusuo faces multiple challenges trying to leave the school premises. Despite various attempts to stop him, he successfully escapes all obstacles and makes it home. Raida takes spirit channeling to an extreme level. He allows different ghost personalities to possess his body, enabling him to talk to girls in various ways. By changing personalities to match different girls' moods, he manages to gather 13 girls interested in seeing a movie with him. On their way to the cinema, Raida encounters serious problems with the ghosts. The spirits, having experienced a taste of life again, begin fighting for control of his body. They take over, causing Raida to lose control and say bizarre things. Unbeknownst to Raida, Kusuo is among the girls in his group, intentionally following him because he anticipated something might go wrong. As the ghosts completely take over Raida's body, the girls become frightened and run away. Kusuo decides to help Raida by expelling the ghosts, allowing him to regain his senses. As a new term begins, various clubs approach Kusuo to recruit him, but he turns them all down. He has no interest in joining any club. Raida creates his own occult club, primarily motivated by his desire to attract women. In the club room, he meets Arisu, a peculiar student who acts like a witch with spellcasting powers. When Shun shows interest in joining the club, Raida refuses, insisting he only wants female members. This leads Chio to leave the club, as she likes Shun and doesn't want to be in a club without him. Raida finds himself alone as the sole member of his club. Despite this, he begins to develop feelings for Arisu. One afternoon, Kusuo is distracted and eager to leave school. He's not uninterested in studying, but today he can't wait to get home and watch TV. Mr. Matt interrupts by announcing a cooking lesson focused on making crepes, which surprisingly captures Kusuo's attention. The cooking lesson begins with instructions written on the board. Students start preparing the dough, adding salt and other ingredients. Kusuo is convinced that he is the only one doing things correctly, while the rest of the class struggles with their preparation. He continues working confidently, observing his classmates' less than perfect efforts. During the cooking lesson, Ricky also attempts to make crepes but fails. The class ultimately gives up on making perfect crepes. Later, Ricky surprisingly appears with a perfectly prepared crepe. Kusuo is impressed, knowing Ricky always tries to do things he hasn't done before. Kusuo soon notices a group of people have been watching him closely. They turn out to be Kokomi's fan club, a group of men who take her welfare extremely seriously. They have a strict code that allows them to eliminate anyone they perceive as a threat to their divine being. They worship Kokomi as if she were something beyond human. The fan club abducts Kusuo and takes him to their meeting place. They explain their purpose. They know he is close to Kokomi and want to potentially sabotage his connection to her. They begin discussing whether to eliminate him. When they discover a picture of Kusuo walking with Kokomi, carrying Yuta in his arms, they mistakenly believe Kokomi has a child with Kusuo. However, their primary rule is ensuring Kokomi's happiness. They realize that eliminating Kusuo would cause him sadness, which would ultimately upset Kokomi. Therefore, they decide to let him live, prioritizing their idol's happiness above all else. Later, Kusuo and his friends win a membership card from a store, which will give them discounts whenever they shop there. However, to receive the card, they must answer a question about a specific manga. Riki, Shun, and Kusuo start exploring town to find the answer. While searching, Kusuo runs into Makoto, who has been looking for him since his date with Kokomi. Their conversation is interrupted when Shun arrives, excitedly talking about his favorite character from Toru. Seizing the opportunity, Kusuo slips away and soon discovers the answer to the question 100. This number commemorates the 100th episode of the anime. In the next scene, as Kusuo walks past a field, a ball suddenly hits him in the head. The impact damages the regulation device in his head, which has always kept his powers in check. Without this device, he can no longer control how much power he uses. He realizes that he could easily turn back time to 7 years ago instead of just a day if he wanted. His strength becomes immense. He could destroy a building just by leaning on it and could potentially wipe out the earth if he isn't careful. Fortunately, Kusuo manages to get home without causing any harm or chaos in the process. Kusuo is surprised to find Riki in his yard, a location where Riki could unexpectedly appear. Using his heightened X-ray vision, Riki can see through Kusuo's skeletal structure. Kusuo manages to escape to avoid potential complications. Inside the house, he desperately begs his father to fix the damaged regulation device. His father explains that he lacks the skills to repair or create a new device. The only person who can help is Kusuo's older brother, Kusuke. Kusuo's father contacts Kusuke, who agrees to assist, given that he originally created the device. Kusuke has a monitor in his room that allows him to monitor his family's activities. Kusuo travels to London, where Kusuke resides. He reveals that he and his brother do not get along. Kusuo explains the reason behind their strained relationship. When Kusuke was born, he was already exceptional, a genius who began studying advanced courses at just 2 years old. However, his status changed when Kusuo was born. All the family's attention shifted towards Kusuo, which deeply hurt Kusuke. As he grew older, he left for the United Kingdom to continue his studies, distancing himself himself from the family. Contrary to appearances, Kusuke doesn't actually hate his little brother. When their father admits he's lost the bag containing the device parts, Kusuke quickly resolves the issue by checking the city's security cameras. He locates and retrieves the bag, then swiftly repairs the device and returns it to Kusuo. The device works perfectly, but Kusuo discovers he can no longer read his brother's mind. Kusuke shares his perspective on their relationship. He believes he would have been an exceptional person if Kusuo hadn't been born. After Kusuo's birth, he began to be overshadowed. They would play games together, and Kusuo would never lose. Kusuke even created a device to weaken Kusuo's powers, but Kusuo continued to outshine him. Frustrated, he left for Cambridge and recently completed his master's degree. While working on his PhD, Kusuke had an innovative idea, creating a telepathy canceller. This is why Kusuo can no longer read his mind. Now there are two people Kusuo cannot read, his brother and Riki. Their parents, wanting to go on a date, ask the brothers to take care of each other. After their parents leave, Kusuke plays rock, paper, scissors with Kusuo, but loses again, adding to his long list of defeats. At Kusuke's hotel, Kusuo discovers Shun and Riki are staying in the room opposite. Kusuke proposes a game of tag with a unique challenge. Kusuo cannot use his powers because his friends will be present. If Kusuo can survive the game for 3 hours, he wins. As an incentive, Kusuke promises to treat him to the hotel's best tea if he succeeds. Kusuo meets his friends in the other room. Kusuke explains the game of tag, telling Shun and Riki they can help Kusuo escape by using any transportation, buses, cabs, or other means. The trio heads to the subway, where Kusuo tries to use the location to block Kusuke's view. They are surprised when Kusuke still manages to find them, narrowly escaping. Kusuo quickly realizes his brother has planted a tracking device in the recently fixed regulation device. Kusuo demonstrates his superiority by using all his known tricks to evade Kusuke until the timer runs out. Kusuke loses once again. Despite losing over 4,000 games, he remains determined to continue challenging his brother until he finally wins. The next day, Kusuke suggests visiting an art gallery in the city. Inside the gallery, Shun interprets everything through the lens of his dark reunion perspective. Kusuo finds an artwork he likes and notes how easy it would be to teleport it since it hasn't been valued yet. He stands quietly, unable to truly understand the concept of art. As summer begins, various invitations start pouring in. Shun suggests a motorcycle trip, but Kusuo isn't interested. Chio wants Kusuo to accompany her to a research lab, but he refuses. Raida proposes a plan for his club and invites Kusuo, who again declines. Hiro wants them to go to a training camp, but Kusuo just wants a free summer break. Kokomi approaches Kusuo and suggests they visit an amusement park together. Knowing he can't refuse Kokomi, Kusuo surprisingly agrees to all the previous invitations. When he checks his calendar, he realizes he has no free days left for himself. The first invitation Kusuo honors is Raida's club trip to a temple. Accompanying them are Chio, Arisu, and Shun. They plan to explore the forest and pair up. Shun with Chio, Raida with Arisu, leaving Kusuo alone. However, Chio changes the pairing and decides to go with Raida instead. While walking through the forest, they encounter a boar. Raida immediately runs away without hesitation. Kusuo attends the training camp with Hiro, and Riki is also present. The coach observes Riki playing tennis and immediately recognizes his natural talent. His reflexes and agility are exceptional. Wanting to assess Kusuo's abilities, the coach asks him to play as well. Riki and Kusuo are paired to play against Hiro's team. Hiro motivates them by promising they'll become club president and vice president if they win. Kusuo, having no interest in these positions, decides to play carelessly and lose. The match begins with Riki giving his best effort. Hiro's team initially seems to be winning. However, Kusuo unexpectedly returns a tricky and powerful serve that catches everyone's attention. The coach and others gather around Kusuo, acknowledging his hidden talent. Next, Kusuo accompanies Chio to a clinical trial, a study designed to confirm the safety and effectiveness of medicines before public release. Doctors explain the trial details to Kusuo, Riki, and Chio, assuring them of its complete safety. They are given a tablet of medication. After taking it, Mira and Riki start experiencing unusual bodily changes. Concerned about the potential risks, Kusuo wants them to stop taking the medication, unsure of its potential effects on their bodies. On the 6th day, doctors reveal they've been giving the participants placebo tablets, pills with no actual medicine, simply to observe their bodily reactions. When Riki and Chio enter the room, everyone is shocked to see them looking unusually bulky. It turns out they ate a mushroom they found in the forest. The doctors assure them the effects will wear off later. Next on Kusuo's summer agenda is motorcycle training. Initially, the coach is hesitant to let Shun participate, but seeing his passion changes his mind. He thoroughly teaches the group traffic laws, explaining what is legal and illegal on the road. After several days of training, Arin, Shun, and Kusuo graduate from driving school and receive their licenses. On the last day of summer break, typically a depressing time for students, Kokomi plans to make the day special for Kusuo. Kusuo arrives with Yuta, and Kokomi asks the child what he'd like to do. Expecting him to request an amusement park visit, she's disappointed when Yuta chooses to watch a hero show instead. During the show, a villain kidnaps Kokomi as a hostage. The hero fails to rescue her, prompting Yuta to beg Kusuo to save her. Other audience members join in pleading with Kusuo. Kusuo puts on a costume, goes on stage, and defeats the villain with a single kick, delighting everyone. Kokomi smiles and hugs Kusuo in gratitude for saving her. Seiko Mtori, heir to the Seiko conglomerate, transfers to Kusuo's school. The students are surprised to see the son of a wealthy family joining their institution. During his introduction, Mtori makes it clear that he doesn't care about his classmates or people he considers poor. He emphasizes that he wouldn't have intentionally come to what he calls a filthy school without a specific reason. When questioned about his transfer, Mtori reveals he came specifically because of Kokomi. He saw her in the city, looked her up, and now wants her to be his bride. The students are stunned that he transferred solely for a woman. Despite the evident disdain among his classmates, they can't challenge him due to his numerous bodyguards. Some students mention Kokomi's fan club, which typically protects her from unwanted advances. They are shocked to learn that most club members have already been paid by Mtori to work for him instead. The marriage offer is particularly tempting to Kokomi, as it aligns with something she has always wanted. Eren attempts to attack Mtori, but the bodyguard easily handles him. Although Kokomi is tempted by the offer, she decides against accepting it because Mtori has insulted her friends for being poor. Just as she is about to tell Mtori that she already likes someone, Kusuo enters the room. Kusuo enters the room and hears Kokomi telling Mtori that she likes someone. Worried Kusuo might discover her true feelings, Kokomi quickly claims she only said it to get Mtori to leave her alone. Kusuo already knows the truth and sees through her lie. Surprisingly, Mtori accepts her explanation and leaves, which shocks Kokomi, as she didn't expect him to give up so easily. The next day, Kusuo learns from his father that their family is being transferred to Siberia. At school, he discovers that his friends' families are also being transferred to the same location. Everyone suspects Mtori is behind the transfers. Additionally, Eren has been arrested for harassing Mtori's bodyguard. People gather to protest at Mtori's house. Kusuo appears in Mtori's room wearing a mask, frightening him. Mtori attempts to bribe Kusuo with money, which Kusuo takes and throws to the protesters outside. Before leaving that night, Kusuo tells Mtori to prepare a mountain of coffee jelly if he wants to bribe him. In the next scene, Kusuo teleports his grandparents to visit their children. Grandpa continues to act indifferent. They go out for a fun day, but Grandpa ends up alone on the street, feeling sad about not spending time with his grandchild. Riki finds Grandpa sitting alone. Surprisingly, the two get along well. Kumaguru tells Riki he wants to buy something for his grandchild but doesn't know what. Riki takes Kumaguru to a store to find a gift. Among all the available items, Kumaguru chooses to buy glasses for his grandson. Upon returning home, he accidentally gives the glasses to his son instead of his grandson. He becomes terrified when his family discovers he's actually caring. His family reveals they intentionally acted cold during the outing. Halloween arrives and Shun is excited. He invites his friends to a Halloween party at his house. Kusuo is the first to arrive, and Shun is shocked to see him in regular clothes. Shun takes Kusuo inside and attempts to paint his face to at least make him look like he's in costume. Hyro and Aren arrive wearing clothes that can hardly be considered costumes. Riki joins them later, also dressed in his regular clothes. Shun becomes increasingly frustrated, unable to believe that none of his friends understand what a costume is. In contrast, Shun is dressed as a vampire, looking distinctly different from the others. Later, children begin arriving for trick-or-treat. Ironically, the kids end up tricking Shun and his friends more than the friends trick the children. A week later, Mtori finally leaves his room and approaches Riki. He offers to buy Riki food, which Riki accepts. Mtori wants to test his father's theory that money can buy anything. After enjoying an expensive meal, Mtori asks Riki to become his lackey. When Riki doesn't respond, Mtori increases the offer to 150 million yen. Riki, unfamiliar with the term lackey, simply tells Mtori that he already has his own friend. After leaving the restaurant, Mtori continues offering Riki money. At some point, Riki accepts the money without understanding its value. Suddenly, Riki sees a child drowning and immediately throws the briefcase into the water for the child to hold on to. Mtori is surprised by Riki's quick action of abandoning the money. He finally understands that his father's belief is wrong. There are some things money cannot buy. Throughout these events, Kusuo is present. In fact, he was the one who secretly used his power to help keep the child afloat, not the briefcase. Later, Kusuo's parents show him a picture of Uryoku, who has become very popular with his performances. A letter arrives inviting Kusuo to Uryoku's show in his area. Kusuo attends the performance. Uryoku has transformed his act, now incorporating comedy into his magic tricks. The audience loves this new style and cheers enthusiastically. After the show, Uryoku thanks Kusuo for his previous help and promises to work hard to become a great magician like him. Kusuo, however, believes Uryoku would be better off pursuing comedy full-time, as he seems to have a natural talent for it. Uryoku thanks Kusuo for attending his show before departing. Chio arrives at school looking extremely overweight, seemingly unaware of her condition. Mera and Kokomi bluntly tell her she needs to watch her weight. During her usual jogging routine, Chio runs past Kusuo Kusuo and decides to rest. She lies down lazily and struggles to get up, lacking the motivation to move. Kusuo decides to help her by using telepathy. He shows her a mental image of Shun, which becomes an instant motivator. Terrified that Shun might no longer like her in her current state, Chio begins doing sit-ups and exercises non-stop. Shortly afterward, she slims down dramatically, developing what could be considered the strongest abs of any human. Her love for Shun is so intense that she's willing to do anything to maintain his potential attraction. During the free period, a time Kusuo dreads most, he gets approached by everyone, knowing he's available. Later that day, Kusuo reads his friends' minds and discovers they're planning a surprise birthday party for him. Shun reveals he learned about Kusuo's birthday from his mother, who saw her in town recently. Kusuo finds himself in a dilemma, unsure how to react to the upcoming surprise. He stands there, contemplating his life choices and feeling overwhelmed by the impending celebration. The worst part is that tomorrow isn't even Kusuo's birthday. It's actually his father's birthday, which is 3 months before Kusuo's own. Kusuo contemplates telling his friends they've got it all wrong, but it becomes increasingly difficult as everyone has already purchased gifts. Kokomi and Chio have already selected a cake design they plan to bake. The group has prepared multiple video letters to show Kusuo the next day, with even the principal recording a special message. Shun brings out a letter he's written for Kusuo and reads it aloud, causing everyone to become emotional. Ultimately, Kusuo decides to let them continue with their plans. He tells them they are free to do whatever they want. The following day, Kusuo's friends are shocked to learn he went home early. They decide to take the surprise directly to his house. When they ring the doorbell, Kusuo opens the door. They wish him a happy birthday, and he appears surprised and happy. Unknown to them, they aren't actually talking to the real Kusuo. Using his powers, he has hypnotized them to see his father as him. His father stands in front of them, while the real Kusuo is hidden behind them, watching the entire scene unfold. Riki suddenly appears from behind and gasps in shock upon seeing 2 Kusuos. Acting quickly, Kusuo teleports a mirror in front of himself to deceive Riki. Riki believes the Kusuo he saw is merely a reflection of the one at the door. Kusuo is grateful that Riki is so easily fooled. When the group enters the house, Kusuo's father finally understands what's happening, as Kusuo's classmates ask him birthday-related questions. He's been puzzled about why his son's classmates would surprise him on his birthday. He goes upstairs to tell Kusuo he can drop the hypnosis. They exchange places, and Kusuo goes to the living room to meet his friends, acting as if he's been there the entire time. When they open the cake they brought, it's smashed. The atmosphere turns gloomy, but Kusuo doesn't want his friends to feel sad. He secretly uses his power to fix the cake, telling them it's okay. Everyone becomes happy hearing this. As they prepare to show the video letters, the recorder falls and breaks. To prevent his friends from feeling disappointed, Kusuo quickly repairs it and assures them it's working perfectly. To make his friends feel comfortable and included, Kusuo joins them for the birthday party.